Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the May 11th meeting of the school committee. This is this segment of our meeting will be school choice open hearing. School choice is an annual procedure for the Milton Public Schools and the Milton School Committee. Milton is not currently a school choice district, but I will defer to Superintendent Jett to provide us a brief overview of school choice. And Superintendent Jett, if you could take it from there, please.
Thank you, Chair Rosemary. If you guys allow me a second to just share my screen. And then if someone could tell me if they could see it, because I won't be able to see it. Are you guys able to understand?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you very much. So this is the school choice presentation of May. It's a very quick presentation. Interdistrict school choice. That is under Chapter 76, 12B of the Massachusetts General Law. The details, the terms and the conditions of interdistrict school choice. As it stands right now, the Milton Public School and the school committee has a policy JFBB regarding school choice. How does it work? The interdistrict school choice program allows for a parent and guardian to enroll his or her child in the school district that is not the child's home school district. For example, a child in Randolph, a child in Hyde Park, a child in Dorchester, Mattapan, Canton, Sharon, will have the opportunity, if voted by the school committee, to allow school choice. Prior to declaring the school choice, the district has to apply to the state to determine, and we have to determine how many seats we have available and at what grade levels do we have seats available. Each year, the Milton School Committee must vote on whether or not to participate in the school choice program. If they decide to participate in the program, they will have to submit the paperwork to the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education prior to June 1st. Therefore, we're having that meeting and hopefully a subsequent vote this evening. If Milton School Committee voted to participate in school choice, a student who enrolls in Milton Public Schools through this program will have the right to remain in the system until they graduate, despite whether or not we decide in later years to change that. Historically, the Milton Public Schools Committee has not voted to participate in interdistrict school choice. I only know from my experience on the school committee, the last couple of years, we have not done so simply because of the concern about excessive enrollment. So at this point in time, that's kind of a very brief overview of school choice. I see Dr. Carroll has her hand up.
I was just gonna say we weren't seeing this. We saw the title slide. We did see the other slides as you were scrolling through. If there was detailed information on them, sorry.
You muted, Superintendent Jett.
Give me 1 second. Can you see it now?
Yes, but it's not in presentation mode.
Yeah, it's just the title slide.
I don't know why it's going to black. Hold on 1 second. Can you see that slide?
Yes.
Okay, so basically what I was sharing with you, I would just do it this way because it seems like when I go into presentation mode, it's going to black on my screen. So that's why I thought you guys were able to see it, but I hope it's still large enough for you to see it.
It's good.
Basically, it's referring to the terms and condition of inter-district school choice. This slide just refers to the Milton Public Schools policy on it, JFBB. This one is the school choice, the child's defining it. You have the right, or if we voted on it, this is not necessarily the student's home school district. Prior to declaring themselves a school choice district, in this case, Milton, the district would have to determine how many seats that were available and what grades they're available. This slide, each year Milton School Committee has to vote as to whether or not they want to participate in the program, school choice program, and that vote must be submitted to the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, DESE, if they decide to do so by June 1st. And then the last slide is simply if Milton School Committee voted to participate in school choice, a student enrolled in the Milton Public Schools through this program will have the right to remain in the system, regardless if you decide at a later point to change the policy. Historically, the Milton Public School Committee has not voted to participate in the interdistrict school choice program. This kind of came up indirectly on the town meeting, the school building committee meeting we just had moments ago, whether or not Milton was a METCO program or alluded to a school choice. So it was not necessarily addressed in detail. I encourage people to hop on this meeting if they wanted to hear what the vote will be. So that's pretty much it. And I believe you guys have more of a descriptor in your packets. I'm just gonna stop sharing for a second and then I'll turn it back over to Chair Rosemary.
Very good, thank you. So since this is an open hearing on school choice, I will ask the audience if there is anyone who's on the meeting tonight who wishes to speak on this subject. And if you would like to make a comment about school choice, if you can please raise your hand and we will promote you. I'll give it a minute. I don't see any hands raised. I will say that without a specific no vote, the system does become a choice district. So at our meeting that follows this, we will be taking a vote. And this vote will limit Milton Public Schools population to those students who live in the town. However, Milton residents may attend other choice districts. This vote does not limit or impede any other agreements that exist in collective bargaining agreements. But without any other members of the public who would like to speak on this issue, I will call this hearing closed and adjourn to our regular meeting. So may I have a motion to adjourn the open hearing, please?
So moved.
Motion to adjourn.
And anyone second? Very good, thank you. And roll call vote. Dr. Carroll?
Yes.
Member Ross Denny?
Yes.
Dr. Miranda?
Yes.
Member Varghese?
Yes.
And Member White?
Yes.
And Chair Rosemary, yes. So that adjourns our school choice hearing, open hearing, and now we will move into our regular school committee meeting. So call our regular May 11th school committee meeting to order. As you know, since our meeting is beginning much later than usual, we have a foreshortened agenda, which you all have received, and just ask if there are any changes or deletions on the agenda. Hearing none, we'll consider the agenda approved, and we will move on to the next agenda item, which is the superintendent's report. And Superintendent Jett.
Thanks
Please
again,
go ahead.
Chair Rosemary. I have 3 quick updates. One is very important, and I know a lot of people have emailed over the course of the last 4 or 5 days regarding the increase in COVID cases, not only in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, Norfolk County, and the town of Milton. Today, every Wednesday, we report to the state the COVID cases for the week. That week period is from Thursday till Wednesday. At 5 p.m., we give them the updated cases. Today, we reported to the state that we have 12 positive staff 673 positive students. That will be in the blog tomorrow, and it will be highlighted by individual schools. We had 17 students positive at Collicott, 12 at Cunningham, 1 at Glover, 24 at Tucker, 13 at Pierce, and 6 at Milton High School. The staff, we don't do by buildings, it goes by district. As of May 11th, I want to give people the entire picture. As of May 11th, which is today, since September 1st, we had 199 faculty and staff that tested positive this academic year, and we had 1,227 students in total who have reported positive cases. Today, it was interesting. I attended the Norfolk County Commissioners meeting at 1 o'clock to discuss ARPA funding, and they informed all of us that many of the counties in Massachusetts are now in the red zone, which is considered high risk. I also spoke with Carolyn Casella from the Board of Health, who informed me that she see the increase in the 7-day positivity rate. It went up from 4.03 to 4.93. She reports Milton cases every other 2 weeks. Her next reporting reporting schedule is tomorrow. She will send that out at 5 o'clock. One of the things she expressed to me, and I don't want to speak for her, but we all know this, the cases that you see reported, whether it be in the state, Norfolk County, or the town of Milton, are only those cases that are positive or deemed positive with a PCR test. That many people are doing the at-home test and coming up with a positive. That does not get registered into the state's database unless, of course, someone gets severely ill, goes to the hospital, and then that is recorded into the database under that. One of the things that I did want to say to the parents, we're going to continue to stay the course. It is, as of right now, the school committee policy is mask optional for Milton Public Schools, but I want to reassure people, and this will be stated in the blog tomorrow as well, we're going to continue with our mitigating strategies that we've employed for the entire academic year, and that is having all of our air purifiers on in each classroom and office. We're going to make sure that all of our rooftop units stay open and on to help circulate fresh air, increase the number of fresh air exchanges. Although the Milton Public Schools policy right now is mask optional, I would encourage anybody who has a concern or feels uncertain about the COVID cases that we encourage them to wear masks, particularly indoors, and this for them. And again, that is only an encouragement. It's not a mandate. I want to be clear on that. Please, we're going to continue to encourage routine hand washing. And we're going to remind all parents they can still opt into the at-home testing program that we have. That will be in the blog as well. And then we also want to make sure that parents are still checking their children for symptoms. If you could always go to the website, we have a whole page on COVID-related issues or updates. If your children are experiencing some of the symptoms, as opposed to sending them to school, I've said this on several meetings, symptomatic testing, which is what we do. But to be clear, it's not when your children wake up exhibiting those symptoms, you send them to school to be tested. It's when a student comes to school and as the day progresses, they start to feel sick and they go to the nurse. That's where we do the symptomatic testing. We do not want people putting their children who are sick on the bus with these symptoms or sending them to schools to get tested because they run the risk of exposing other folks. I will talk a little bit about the impact of this. As I mentioned, 199 faculty and staff since September 1st. They've been positive. That is a minimum of 5 days. A minimum of 5 days that they're out, they could return. That has an impact of 995 days that we have faculty and staff that are out. That's probably higher because we all remember the quarantine time was shortened on Monday, December 27th. That's when the CDC came out and changed that. To date, the 1,227 students that had it, that's a minimum of 6,135 days that this pandemic has had an impact. These are only days related to COVID. So I share that information because within the Milton Public Schools, we have been able to navigate this to the best of our ability. A lot of this is beyond our control and guidance is coming down. We monitor the situation on a daily basis. and even more so lately, because as we know, there's a lot of conversation about concerns about the increases in these positive cases. I do know the latest I heard was around 6 o'clock. They're going to start going back to the wastewater to see, because a lot of people may be asymptomatic and not even realize it, but that's how they could determine the prevalence of COVID-19 in various communities. So I share that with you guys as a school committee, just to give you an update. It will be a section of this in the blog tomorrow to make sure that families are well aware of it and they make those decisions. But we ask people to really follow the guidance, but especially if your students are home, so we can maintain our end of the year activities as best as we can. That includes your elementary routines and activities, your middle school events and activities, high school events, activities, graduation and award shows. So award ceremonies, excuse me. Not sure if anybody has any questions regarding the COVID information I just shared. Any questions? Dr.
I guess just a quick reminder about, for those of us who will be sending kids back to school after positive COVID time, 5 days at home, that they do have to wear the mask still for days 6 through 10 after they tested positive, that has remained the policy throughout.
Thank you, Dr. Kara, for mentioning that. And typically when we are informed of that, the nurse and faculty and staff are aware of that for that student returning, and ask that they keep them on even if the symptoms have subsided. You keep it on up until day 11, excuse me. Any additional questions about COVID update? And again, I will share this information with parents tomorrow. Oh, Member White?
Superintendent Jen, I was just wondering, when you talk to your administrative team, are they noticing that more masks are being used because of the uptick? I mean, I certainly notice it going into stores and going inside places. I notice more people are wearing masks in the last maybe week or two. I just was wondering if you noticed anything in schools.
Have I noticed it?
Yeah.
Yes. Have I asked the principals about it specifically in the individual schools? I have not, but we did talk about the increase on Tuesday at our leadership meeting, and one of the things that we'll continue to do is to monitor it. And as I mentioned, I'm going to encourage parents, particularly indoors, in large groupings, encourage it. You can't mandate it, but it would definitely encourage it, because I think it would be the right thing to do for us to get through the next month and a half. Any other questions? All right, if I could move on. I want to talk about something that last night was a very good night for us. We were in Milton High School auditorium with a high school administration and leadership team, celebrated and honored 263 students, whether it was the 6 students in the base, Boys and Girls Bay State. That's where they nominate 3 male students, 3 female students, where they would spend 1 week at Stonehill College, working with other students, over 100 other students from across the state as participants. Those students will have the opportunity to live on a college campus for a week and engage in the democratic process, all aspects of the democratic process, from elections to programs and things like that. That was only 6 students that were identified for that. The Century Club, we had 114 students acknowledged as members of the Century Club. For those that don't know, the Century Club honors 100 students, top academic achievers. Students are selected on the basis of their unweighted, the operative word there is unweighted, class rank at the end of term 3. The membership is as follows: 40 senior members, 30 junior members, 20 sophomores, and 10 freshmen. Now, if you do the math, that adds up to 100. But if there are ties in certain aspects, they take the members that are tied as well. So we were up to about 114 last night, which was a great night. And then 127 students were inducted into the National Honor Society. Once again, the students are screened for the selection for the membership in the National Honor Society. begins after their first semester of their junior year. Their weighted, operative word is weighted grade point average for grades 9, 10, and 11, the first semester of the 11th grade must be at least a 3.7 GPA. And so students who attain this average are invited to apply. They have to apply for membership. The application requires that the student details experience to show evidence of leadership, character, and service. It was very nice to see the students in the auditorium being recognized in front of their parents, and it culminated with all of the students getting a yellow rose. That yellow rose is symbolic and gives the students the opportunity to recognize those people in their lives that helped them along the way to get to where they are. So that was last night. And then finally, Junior Book Awards. It's a smaller group this year, but the Junior Book Awards are a longstanding tradition that takes place at Milton High School, where members of the junior class are awarded books and prizes for their scholastic and civic efforts. These awards are sponsored by college and university local alumni chapters, offices and admissions, Office of Admissions, and some staff and community members as well. Our very own select board member, Mike Zulis, was on hand to give out his Junior Book Award to a member of the junior class for Williams College, I think, in Western Mass. So that was last night. I don't know if anybody has any questions about the award ceremony. I had the luxury and honor to be a spectator, and then a very limited role in participating in it, Amy, Dexter, and myself. So it was a great night to see the students come together. I said to them last night, I think the number was 790 something days since March 13th that we've been dealing with the pandemic. And through it all, the students showed their resiliency and persevered and still came out on top and showed their academic prowess. So I was very pleased to that, and it's getting back to talking about the academics and the achievement of our students. And so I was very happy with that. That was last night in the Milton High School auditorium. Any questions on that? Yes, Chair Roseman.
I just want to say congratulations to all those students that participated in last night's ceremony. It is a lot of work to become a member of the National Honor Society, to have 127 of these are just juniors, correct?
Yes.
That were inducted into the National Honor Society. That is an impressive number of students who have, as you said, weathered through great challenges in the last couple of years, and for them to be recognized by the National Honor Society is really says a lot about all that they did to get to that moment. And congratulations to all of them and the Junior Book Awards recipients as well. It's just a Century Club. It's just a wonderful culmination of many of our students' hard work at Milton High School, and I think I speak for all of us and say how proud we are of the work that has gone into those accomplishments.
And thank you, Chair Rosemary. And I echo those sentiments. When you look at this junior class, and we look at the past 26 months, which spans 3 academic years, we focus on a lot of the challenges and the setbacks, but this is one of the highlights. This group right here, they have not had a full or normal year of high school during this pandemic. And here they are coming out on top, showing their commitment and their dedication to their academics. So I greatly appreciated being a part of that. And so on behalf of the high school, the students, their families, the educators, I just wanted to say congratulations publicly and kudos to all of them. And then my last update, I know a lot of people have been waiting, and it's been a long time since we had this public hearing. I am pleased to announce publicly contracts are signed just this week. I will be putting that out. We have a new DEI director of diversity, equity, and inclusion. That's going to be Claire Galloway Jones. And then we also have a new assistant superintendent of curriculum and personnel, and that will be Garth McKinney. And again, I just want to say publicly, I appreciate the community's patience, but we don't want to put that out publicly until we sign on a dotted line. For those that don't know, if you look at what happened in Garth McKinney's community, they offered someone the superintendency and then abruptly pulled it back within the last 24 hours. So you always want to wait until folks work out all of the kinks and the details and put their signature on that contract before you put it out. And so I'm happy to say that we'll be putting that out tomorrow with a little bit of detail about both of those individuals. So it is coming. And Chair Roseman knows this. I went back and forth with her there. It was Monday morning where I got the word that there was an agreement. So I'm happy about that. And I look forward to both of those individuals joining the team. Claire Galloway Jones has already reached out today, looking for a couple of days to do some transition work. Garth McKinney has been in contact with Janet Sheehan, collecting data and getting information on the district. So it looks like both of them are eager to get started. They officially start on after July 1st. That's when their contracts officially start, but we will be working on some transition days so they could get a feel of the district while people are still here and also have the opportunity to meet some folks. So we're looking forward to that. And that is my update, and I will take any questions if you have them.
Any
Perfect.
questions or comments, anyone? Superintendent Jett, I had one thought, and I don't know whether it would be possible since Mr. McKinney and Ms. Galloway Jones won't beginning until after July 1st. Is it possible that they might be able to come at our last school committee meeting so that we might introduce them and meet them publicly before the summer?
Without question, I mean, they might even be able to, if we're still remote, they might even be able to do it the next school committee meeting. I don't see that being a huge issue. Obviously, I don't know what their current commitments are under their current districts, particularly at night. For those who don't know, Garth McKinney is currently the interim superintendent in his district, and Claire Calloway Jones still has a leadership role in her current district. So I would definitely ask you, let me know what meeting you would like them to come to. Both of them have been very receptive and emailing and eager to go. Oh, and I didn't share with the community, tomorrow is our first meeting to start the process of the search for the interim principal of the Tucker Elementary School. We're looking to get that underway, the first meeting to talk about ground rules and going over policies and a little bit of training in that process. That takes place tomorrow afternoon. So it's been a busy week.
Very good. Thank you, Superintendent Jett. Let's see. Next on our agenda is the chair's report, and the first item under that is the school choice recommendation. And I wonder if we can ask Superintendent Jett to give us his recommendation regarding school choice, and then we can discuss it and take a vote.
So at this point in time, my recommendation is not to move forward with the school choice. As many of you folks know, we've been talking about the increasing enrollment. We've been talking about the pinch on spaces. We converted a lot of spaces within all of the Milton Public Schools, with the exception of the Tucker. We haven't done much of that, but they used a good portion of their gymnasium for classroom space for pretty much the entire year so far. So we've been very blessed in that regards, but many of the libraries have been converted, walls have been put up, and it came up, we're limited in the number of spaces that we could continue to add. It came up in the last meeting. When you start putting up walls, it changes the sprinkler system and the ventilation system. So we're very limited in what we could do. If you walk into the Pierce Middle School, that beautiful team area space that used to be in grade 8 is now, that was for larger group activities and discussions. Now it is a classroom because we had to do it. You have 2 classrooms now on opposite ends in the Pierce Middle School. We have office space now created and divided behind the circulation desk in the library. We did away with the the language labs. So there's been a lot of innovations in all of the schools. And at this point in time, we anticipate that enrollment is still going up. At the last I checked, right now, as of May 11th, we have 130 pre-K students that will be coming into the Milton Public Schools. And as of today, we have 349 registered kindergartens. That does not count. And if anybody's familiar with the Milton Public Schools, August is a very busy month, August and September, with move-ins. These are the folks that are here right now and committed to say that they're coming. So at this point in time, I would say it'd be very difficult to do school choice and increase those class sizes when we have to take care of the residents of the town.
Okay, great. Thank you, Superintendent Jett. So I open it up for discussion. Member White, I see your hand.
Yeah. Historically, the only district in the area that I remember participating in school choice is Avon, because I think they had small enrollment and they were looking to increase their enrollment by offering school choice. Are there any other districts in the area that participate in school choice that you're aware of?
I believe Brockton may participate in school choice, but it goes back to exactly what you said, is based on the enrollment and try to make for the class sizes. But I think one of the biggest things we also need to think about, once you make that choice, that was part of that presentation. You say you go school choice for this coming year and students move in. Those students then stay in until they graduate or move out, or they make the decision. You can't force them to move out after that. And I hate to use the term forced to move out, but you know what I mean? They have the right to stay until they graduate, regardless if you rescind the policy or not.
And we received a spreadsheet with our materials for this evening's meeting from Charlene Roach that has the school choice decisions by all districts in Massachusetts for 2020, 21 and 21-22. And just looking quickly at some of our neighboring school districts, as Superintendent Jett said, Brockton, it looks like they are on the list, that they have said yes, but I'm looking at all the other surrounding ones quickly. It looks like Randolph does have a school choice. Quincy, no. Canton, no. Sharon, no.
But if you look at Randolph's enrollment, I believe their high school has about 700 and something students in it. It's probably a grade smaller than the Milton Public Schools. Milton High School. So.
Right. Dr. Miranda.
Yes, just wondering, historically, how we always sort of run against this same dilemma of a capacity issue.
Well,
in my experience, we've been having a growing crunch. Now, obviously, at the start of the pandemic last year, we had a little bit of a valley, and that was simply because we were in the hybrid model, and some folks who had the means took their children out and put them in the private or parochial school for a year, but we have since received some of those students back. Maybe not all, but we received a lot of them back and then some. So we're right back up to capacity.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And if I could add one more thing, there's 4 elementary schools. 3 of them were built with 500 student capacity. That's Collycott, Cunningham, and Glover. All of them are over 600. Elaine McNeil Gamai School, the Tucker School, was built to the capacity of 400 and they're functioning about 470. So that in itself leads me to believe, or if you want my recommendation, I'd say it would be very hard to add more students in consume the space that you might otherwise have for town residents.
Any other questions, comments? Are we ready to move to a vote? Well, I will put forward a motion to that Milton not be a school choice district for the FY23 school year.
I'll
Right.
second that.
Second, thank you, Member White. And we'll do a roll call vote. Dr. Miranda,
Yes.
Member Ross Denny,
Yes.
Dr. Carroll,
Yes.
Member White,
Yes.
Member Varghese,
Yes.
and Chair Rose Marin, yes. Okay, that is unanimous.
So that's a yes vote for no school choice.
That's correct.
I
That
just
is
want to make sure.
Yes, the motion was to not become a school choice district. That's right. Yeah. And our next item is for the representative for the South Shore Educational Collaborative representative. Annually, South Shore Education Collaborative asks participating districts, of which we are one, to appoint a representative to act as a board member. And Superintendent Jett has served in that capacity for since he's been superintendent, I imagine, correct, Superintendent? I will make a motion and then we can discuss that if there's any questions or comments. Motion being made to appoint Superintendent James Jett to represent the Milton Public Schools as a board member for the South Shore Educational Collaborative for the 2022-2023 school year.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Member White. Any discussion?
Can I just add a piece for those that don't know? The South Shore Collaborative makes up, multiple different districts: Braintree, Cohasset, Hingham, Hull, Marshfield, Milton being one, Norwell, Quincy, Randolph, Situate, Weymouth, and Whitman and Hanson. And it is a collaborative that sometimes students who we may not be able to service in school, they might go to the South Shore Collaborative as one option. And the superintendents, typically it's a superintendent from each of these districts that make up that South Shore Collaborative board. We have monthly meetings where we get together, we talk about programming and how to enhance that experience for our students who may take that journey or that trek from Milton to the South Shore Collaborative in Hingham, and how do we continue to best service those students and give them what they need academically, socially, and emotionally. So for those who are new to the board, for those who did not know, I just wanted to give that piece.
Thank you, Superintendent Jett. So those are for services for children with special needs. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Yes.
Any other questions or comments? If not, we'll move to a vote. Let's see. Member Varghese.
Yes.
Member White.
Yes.
Dr. Carroll.
Yes.
Dr. Miranda.
Yes.
Member Ross Denny.
Yes.
Chair Rose Marin, yes. So that is unanimous. And thank you, Superintendent, for serving in that capacity. Next on the agenda is our Finance Subcommittee report. And I'll pass that on to Member White.
Okay. We have 3 warrants to approve tonight, and I'm going to have Beverly Ross Denny do the first one.
I would like to make a motion to approve vendor warrant number 42.
Second.
Do we need a roll call vote for this one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Member Rose Marin,
Yes,
Dr. Carroll. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Amy.
Amy.
I think you should mention the total dollar
Oh, sorry
amount
about that.
and the date of the warrant.
Okay, hold on, let me open up
Okay.
the file. The date of the file is April 14th, 2022, in the amount of $409,432.61. And Member White cannot vote on that. So let's go back to our roll call vote. Member Rosemarin,
Yes.
Dr. Carroll,
Yes.
Member White,
Abstain?
Dr. White, Dr. Miranda,
Yes.
and Member Varghese.
Yes.
Unanimous vote. Next is up to you, Betty.
Okay, so I'm gonna move on two motions, vendor number, vendor warrant number 44 dated April 19th and vendor warrant number 45 dated April 28th in the amounts of $157,273.68 and $585,389.05. Can I have a second?
Seconds.
Okay, and we'll do a roll call vote. Dr. Carroll,
Yes.
Chair Rosemarin,
Yes.
Dr. Miranda,
Yes.
a member Varghese,
Yes.
member Ross Denny,
Yes.
and member White, yes. Okay, that's unanimous. And that's all we have for finance tonight.
Very good. Thank you very much. And last thing on our agenda is next meeting agenda items. So our next meeting is scheduled for, what's the date?
25th.
25th, right? And I don't have the list of items that might already be on there. Are there any particular agenda items that, oh, I see some hands up. Dr. Carroll, would you start?
The things I was going to mention are to add citizen speak back onto the agenda,
Yes.
to that we will have a policy report. And also, I guess, wondering if not the next meeting, at the one after that, I'm assuming that we will need to schedule executive session because we have we're about to start tomorrow negotiations with a second union, but negotiations with the MEA have been well underway, and I think we should provide some updates to the committee on those. So that's not that agenda per se, but just to put that out there.
So would that be the first one in June then? Dr. Carroll, so we have one meeting on May 25th and we have one on June 1st. Is that?
I'm just, I guess I am not sure. I guess I'll defer to someone who has been here through a previous round of negotiations to know how closely we need to keep the committee updated as we move toward finalizing contracts. So I'm not sure what makes the most sense.
Okay. Well, we'll discuss it, and it'll be either, I would say, either the 25th or June 1st, depending on what else we have on the agenda, and that would be an executive session.
And these are proposed items that you would include on the agenda. And as we get close to the week before that agenda is finalized, so don't feel compelled to have everything listed right now, but with some initial ideas.
Right. Great. Thank you. Thank you. And Member White, I see your hand up.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about maybe on an agenda item for next meeting, residency, because I would like to sort of review have the superintendent review what the guidelines are for residency, how residency is established, and in what grades it is reestablished, and just an update, because we haven't really talked about it in probably a couple of years. I'd just like to have an update.
Okay. Thank you. All right. I think that pretty much does it. And you know, I apologize. I didn't mention in the beginning of this meeting that we did not include the citizen speak on this meeting because it is a shortened meeting and starting so late. But yes, indeed, and Dr. Carroll, we will put citizen speak back on for our other regular meetings that typically start at 7 o'clock instead of 8:30 as it did tonight. So I think that that ought to do it for this evening. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to
move to
adjourn.
adjourn.
Thank you.
I
Thank you.
second.
Okay, sounds good. I'll do a roll call vote. Dr. Carroll,
Yes.
Member White,
Yes.
Member Ross-Denny,
Yes.
Member Varghese,
Yes.
Dr. Miranda,
Yes.
and Chair Rose Marin, yes. That ought to do it. All right, thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Thank
All
you.
right. Good night,
Thank you.
everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.